Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at a radio called the Thunderpole TX. It's a CB handheld covering all the main EU frequencies and a UK band as well. And with exporting it can cover a lot more than that, which is quite interesting really. But the reason I'm showing you this today is because a friend of mine has lent me this radio, so thank you very much Mike for the loan of this radio. It's very difficult to get hold of one of these because ever since they launched at the start of the summertime 2023, they've been in and out of stock at Thunderpole and other retailers as well due to the popularity, and they've been received really well. Lots of other videos on YouTube already about this particular rig. I just wanted to show it since I'd got hold of one and everything, and I think it's a cracking piece of kit for the money. Now if you think about other CB handhelds that have come out in recent times, I think the most other recent one that's appeared in the last couple of years was the President Randy 3, obviously made by President Electronics in France. Now that was a fantastic radio, but the price of it was kind of eye-watering at about £229 in the UK, and something similar in the European regions as well. So yeah, quite an expensive piece of kit for what it is essentially just an AM and FM radio. So most people don't want to pay that much for a CB handheld. But anyway, that's where this one comes in and steals the market, I think, because at just £99 from Thunderpole, this is incredibly good value for money. Now the reason I say that is simply because there isn't much other choice in that price region, you know, if you're wanting a decent handheld. And to me, this one's made, as well as the President Randy, there are some differences, but there's an awful lot of similarities. But as I say, there's been plenty of YouTube videos released over the summertime showing this rig when it first appeared. I know that Ringway Manchester had a look at it, and I think Andy Kirby did one as well. So some of the big names out there have already reviewed this radio, and they've loved it really, you know. And a lot of people are just coming back on the air after a massive break in CB really as a hobby. And I mean, if you think about it, you know, like there's people coming back on the air from 20-30 years ago and just ending up buying a handheld just to see what's out there really, and that. And you know, it's a good way to get started back in the hobby. But not only is this a handheld, it can also be converted into a car kit. So we'll have a look at that in a minute anyway. But basically, you get the radio in the box and a few little accessories as well. Now, one of the things I wanted to show you is this antenna that the Thunderpole TX comes with. It's quite a long rubber duck type, you know, like helical windings in the antenna and everything. But one of the things that's remarkable about it is that it does actually work really, really well, because my previous experience of rubber ducks, including the one that President supplied with the President Randy 3, hasn't been that great. If we take a close look at this one as well, one of the things I liked about this on the Thunderpole TX is that it's actually got a BNC socket on the top of this radio. Now you might think, wow, what's the big deal about that? But the President Randy 3 uses something called a TNC, which is a screw connector. And the adapters are quite difficult to find, and so are the antennas. So I had to look for one from China to get one for a President Randy 3. Because there wasn't much choice in the UK for one of those, because not many people use the TNC type connector. But with this one, you've just got the BNC type, which means that if I just move around here a second, have a look at this. Look, you can use one of these stock antenna adapters here, the BNC to SR239, to plug it into a bigger antenna. And a lot of people have them kicking around because you might have had a scanner in the past that used the BNC style connector. I think most of the Uniden scanners and things like that use them. But yeah, simply put that on top of there. And as you can see, nice and easy. You've got an SO239 socket there. So if you wanted to use it as a home-based transceiver, you could do. Just plug a big antenna into that and you're away really. But what's really surprising about this antenna is the way it performs compared to a telescopic. There's been one or two reviewers on YouTube who've suggested that the performance of this rubber duck antenna is nearly as good as the telescopic, and in some cases equaling the performance as well, which is quite impressive. So we're going to go out and try it in a few minutes time and make a few contacts on it and see what happens. But anyway, just before we go on to the review and show some of the features in the radio, I just wanted to point out that a lot of people are coming back on the air from quite a number of years ago, buying one of these handhelds and expecting the CB to be like it used to be quite a few years ago. But the reality is there's less people on the air than there used to be. So if you're coming into the hobby again after a long break and expecting to find loads of people on the channels, say on the UK band, you're going to be quite disappointed, because depending on where you are in the UK, you'll find pockets of activity. And I think it's the same in a lot of countries these days. CB isn't what it used to be, thanks to the internet killing off a lot of communications. So I just wanted to point out to anybody who's watching this for the first time really in a long time that you know, CB handhelds are great, but they don't have the range of a big CB radio. And if you're looking for activity in your local area, you could be disappointed. So be prepared to travel a bit. get the scan going and see what's on the band, and do a bit of travelling around, and I'm sure you'll find somebody to speak to on there. 19 is still the calling channel in a lot of places, and maybe even try 14, but these days people tend to just find a channel and just stick on there and just have a chat, really. So best thing to do is use the scan function. This is what I've got going on in here, but in my own local area there isn't much activity, so we tend to get out and about and go hilltopping to find other people on as well. But there you go. So what do you get in the box with the Thunderpole TX? Well, the answer is stuff. You get a user guide like this one, which is quite brief on there. Excuse the antenna rolling away on top of the desk here. There you get the helical BNC type antenna, which I just showed you a minute ago. You get a USB charger as well, which hasn't even been out of the box here, so I'm not going to open that one, Mike, because I'm just using my own phone charger to charge up the radio. But yeah, I think it's just a 1 amp or a 2 amp charger in there. I'm not sure which, to be honest. I can't read what it says through there, but anyway, that's brand new and sealed still there, so I'm not going to open that for him. A brand new USB-C cable, which in effect you might not even need, because if you've got one of the modern day phones, you'll have USB-C charging on it as well, so that's what's in there as well. And the only other thing you get then, really, apart from the radio, is this thing called a holder, and a pack with some bits in called a stud mount. So you can actually fix this somewhere, maybe if you're traveling mobile, or you want to fix it at home somewhere like that as well. So that's all you get really in there. There is a car kit which you can actually attach this radio. If I just get it in focus there, hopefully you'll be able to see that. Basically what that is the underside of the radio has some little connector points on there and a screw thread, and you can actually route it through the car kit instead. So if you're going to use this as a sort of mobile radio as well as a handheld, whilst you're in the car you can connect the car kit up. It's $14.99 available from Thunderpole themselves, and basically what that gives you is a 12-volt cigarette lighter plug to plug into the vehicle. It is 12 volts only though, so just be careful with that one. Not for trucks really, just 12 volts unless you've got a dropper there. And you also have a SR239 termination, so you don't need to connect an antenna to the top socket when you're out mobile. And the other thing that's good about this radio is that it does have an external speaker jack as well. So, well, it's actually for a speaker microphone. Have a look inside there. And believe it or not, it's the same ports as you would get on the Baofeng type Chinese transceivers. And I've actually tested this out, and it does actually work with one. So I'll get one of those and I'll show you that in a second. But you can use a stock speaker mic. So you might have one kicking around from a PMR radio or something like that that you can plug in. But unlike the President Randy 3, which uses a different type of wiring, this one is a standard kind of Baofeng type one, or Quansheng microphone. So you can actually plug one of them straight in and it does work. Okay, so here's a stock standard Baofeng speaker mic plugged into the side of the Thunderpole TX into that jack there. We're going to give it a try, see if it works. Let's key up. There you go. So we've got lighting on the radio, we've got light on the microphone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 seems to be working fine. As you can see, it keys the radio perfectly. So it is confirmed that it is the same wiring as the standard PMR radios that you can get off AliExpress and everywhere, really super cheap. So you can get a super cheap speaker mic and it will work with this rig. So if that's what you want to do, then just get one of those and plug it in, which is quite nice because the President Randy, like I say, doesn't have the same wiring config, so it doesn't work with one of those. But brilliant work with the Thunderpole TX. As you can see, it works perfectly. Let's just check we've got some audio through. Let's just release the squelch. There you go. Everything seems to be fine with that. Get rid of that right quickly. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, all good. So if you want to run a speaker mic, you don't need to spend a fortune. That's the great thing about it, really. So that does work really well with the Thunderpole TX. Now, one of the best things about this Thunderpole TX is the fact that it's got USB-C charging built inside the radio. So you don't need to carry any particular special chargers around with you. There's nothing proprietary. Simply undo the port on the bottom right-hand side of the radio down here. And sure enough, you've got the USB-C port. So what I've got here is I've got a little power bank which is just charged up, ready to provide some power on USB-C with this cable here. So we're just going to plug it straight in, and boom, you've got the orange light on top of the transceiver there to indicate that a charge is taking place. Now, it should take about 2 hours if the battery was fully depleted, but very convenient way to charge things. So if you've got a mobile phone charger that uses USB-C, you'll be able to use that straight away with this radio, so no faffing about. And that's where it wins over the President Randy, simply because it's so much more convenient than having to carry a proprietary charger or anything. I mean, yeah, to be fair, with the President Randy, you do get the car kit included and everything, whereas you have to pay $14.99 extra with this rig, but it's still way cheaper. So that to me is a plus point immediately. So that's the USB-C charging, very good. So just wanted to show you the battery pack in this radio. It's a lithium cell and it's 1800 milliampere hours. So very easy to replace as well. Good long lasting battery life. And all you have to do is take it out of the holder there. It's just got a little connector on the back of there. So you can buy spare batteries if you want to and replace them in the future. So that's good. I remember the days when CB Handhelds used to have about 10 or 12 AA batteries inside. It was a bit of a nightmare really, but that's the cell that comes with the Thunderpole TX. So quite a big chunky battery pack really in there. Should last quite a fair amount of time really, I'd have thought. And when you put the battery back in the holder and put the radio back together, you've got the belt clip here as well. So the belt clip's easy enough to slide on and off. It's not particularly substantial, it's just a plastic type belt clip as you can see there. So that's what you've got anyway, but I wouldn't bet my life on it or anything, but certainly it's user replaceable again, and it just slides on and clicks into place on the back of the radio like that as well, so that's kind of handy to have too. So just wanted to run through a few of the features on this radio before we take it out for an on-air test and maybe do a power measurement as well. Basically down this side you've got the PTT at the top, which is very nice. It's a nice positive feel, nice rubbery button there on there at the very top. Underneath that you've got high and low power button, which is good, but you don't need to go into the menu to change the power levels on this radio. So if we just hold it down there, it's on high. There we go, on the display it's changed to low, just above the digits for the channel there. So high and low, just by holding down that toggle. The other two buttons are basically for other functions like the backlighting. So you can disable the backlight altogether if you want. Personally, I'd like it to stay on a bit longer, but there doesn't seem to be any options in the current version of the software to do that. But basically, you press that to illuminate the display and it comes on for a few seconds. If you hold it down for a few seconds, it will actually disable the backlight altogether on the rig. But I'd have liked it to be able to do the same again, so if you held it down it'd stay on continually as well, which would be quite a nice function I'd have thought really. I mean obviously it's designed to save battery power, but if you don't want that, it'd be nice to be able to have the option to leave the display lighting on all the time. But yeah, underneath there you've got a monitor button as well to release the squelch, so it doesn't matter whether you've got auto squelch on or not, you can just press this one here. There you go, that's your monitor. So if you want to listen, and one of the good things about this monitor is it doesn't turn off when you've keyed the microphone, it does stay continually running until you actually cancel the monitor function. But on some radios I've used in the past, you press the PTT and the monitor function is killed and it doesn't work again until you engage it. But with this radio it does stay working, which is kind of useful if you're out on the hilltops trying to get a distant station or something like that, so that's quite cool really. So anyway, moving to the front of the radio, nice and easy to use and everything. You've got channel up, channel down. You've got ASQ, which is auto squelch, where you don't need to set the level yourself, a bit like in the President radios and a lot of other transceivers these days. It's become pretty much a standard thing. Dual watch, can monitor 2 channels simultaneously, so 2 channels of your choice. It just flicks between the 2 like a short scan. So that's nice and easy to set up as well. You've got Vox, which could be useful if you're out driving in the car, so voice operated transmit. So you can turn that on and as you speak it will actually engage the transmit and everything. So that would work best with an external microphone generally. But you can set the Vox level and everything inside the menus as well, which is really good. You've also got a function lock. So you can obviously lock the keypad there. Look at the little lock symbols appeared near the battery symbol, which is really good. So if you don't want to knock it while you're driving or anything like that, then that's good. Channel 19 and channel 9 maybe have some limited use in some areas, but basically you can hold that down and it'll become a scan button as well. So you can scan the UK 40 or the EU 40, which I'll show you in a second, which is kind of good. So yeah, just scanning around the band there. And it's a pretty good scan rate, as you probably noticed. It does seem to scan quite fast really. It's like 4 or 5 channels a second, which is pretty decent and a lot quicker than most radios I'd say of this kind of type. But yeah, there you go again, just so you can see it running there on the scan. It's all good. And if you press it down once, that button, channel 9 appears for the UK emergency channel that probably nobody ever monitors. Press it again, you can go to 19 FM calling channel. So it's a little space, a little time-saving thing, should I say. So it's not too bad really, but you know, it is what it is. It's a handy little function to have in, but I think the scan function is probably the most useful one on that key anyway. Right, moving on to mode and band, which is the one that's kind of interesting to us there. At the moment, this radio is configured in UK mode. It's not been modified or anything. It's just legal 4 watts AM/FM radio. So in the UK, we've got a unique set of channels on the UK 40, which people know as 2781. But you can also get down to the EU band or mid block or FCC mids or whatever you want to call it, or CEPT sometimes. So you just press the mode button once. You can toggle all the way through and go back to UK. So you just press mode, and basically that toggles between AM and FM on the EU band. So now we're in there. You've got 40 channels that you can use in AM or FM. As you can see there, it's on EU, and if we press it again, it'll change to AM. So there you go, look, alpha mic modulation there in the corner. So you've got the choice, which is legal in the UK, of both AM and FM on that block. And then of course press it one more time and it jumps back up to the UK 40. Now this radio is sold all around Europe, and it does have different configs that you can put in, basically for the German channels, the Polish channels and everything else really. So have a look in the book, it tells you how to do that as well. Now you can actually export this radio, meaning that it can cover from 25 up to 30 megahertz. And if you search on YouTube for Del Boy, Thunderpole TX, you'll find some of his videos on there. So all credit to Del Boy. He's made a little video that shows you how to engage the export mode on this rig to be able to use 25 up to 30 megahertz. Now that might have only limited use there for some amateur radio people, because obviously unless you've got an amateur license, you're not going to be transmitting up in the 10 meter band, and also it's only AM and FM. There's no sideband on this handheld, and there isn't any handhelds that are actually containing SSB anymore these days. They've been discontinued as far as I know. There was a radio called the Albrecht. I can't remember its model number now, but there was an Albrecht handheld, and there's also another one called Dragon as well, and they actually had SSB inside the handheld, so you could use it as a sort of miniature QRP transceiver up on 10 meters as well. But so it might only be of limited interest for some radio amateurs who can transmit up in the 10 meter FM portion of the band really. So if you feel like modding the radio, you can do it. You don't need to open it up or anything. It's just a series of key presses, which is brilliant because it does mean you keep your warranty on your rig as well. But like I say, I've not even bothered to look at it because this isn't my radio. As I said, it's been loaned to me, and you know, it's one of those things. I think it's only of limited interest really of modding a handheld of this type anyway to work on the export frequencies. So I'll just take you through the menu briefly on this one. There isn't much inside there to configure, but there's a few things that might be of interest. So here you go. So first one is the keypad beep on and off. That's what a little bell symbol indicates in the corner there. Let's just do that again because it times out really quickly. Next thing is the Vox sensitivity level for the voice activated transmit, which is what we talked about earlier on. Then after that, you've got the Roger beep on and off. You can toggle that on and off where the music symbol is up there. So some people like bleeps, some people hate them. And this is the other thing up here, high and low power, which obviously we don't really want to bother toggling because it's on the side of the radio on that hotkey, which is really good. And then finally, display 1, 2 and 3. Now this is just basically how it lays out the display. There's 3 options on here. Basically, number 1 is the default one, which shows the channel number, mode and frequency. The second one is the inverted backlight version, which you can see there. Now, some people prefer the inverted LCD. I don't think it looks that good myself, to be honest. I'd keep it on number 1, but that's entirely your choice. And then number 3 and number 4 are basically the same again with the inverted LCD and normal display, but these just don't show the frequency. So if you want a more simplified layout with just the big characters on the channel display, then that's the one for you. So if you're not bothered about frequencies at all, then that's it really. And that is really about it inside the menu system. So very comprehensive little handheld. There isn't much that you need to do. You've got a nice TX and RX bar down here as well to show the strength of the incoming received signal and everything as well. So all in all, it's a nice display. I just wish that the only thing that the President Randy 3 does better than this radio really is the colours on the display really, I'd say, in terms of you know, you can select a few different colours. It's a nice white, sort of bluey white colour anyway on this one, so it's not really an issue. But anyway, finally, the only function that I haven't spoke of, which is probably the best one on the radio so far, is the NRC. Now this has been featured on a lot of the newer Chinese transceivers, and you know, things like the Anytones and the CRT 7900V Turbo. It makes a big difference. It basically gets rid of hissing and crackling. So if we engage NRC on the radio, it comes on the display there. There doesn't seem to be any settings for the NRC level that I can see on this one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but basically you just turn on the noise reduction circuit and it gets rid of the crackling and brings the voice through the noise, which is really good because the bands can be very, very noisy at times, especially at 27 megs when you get propagation rolling in and everything. Let's just turn this squelch off a second on this radio. So if we just do that. So that's the NRC on. Obviously we're still getting some squelch noise because there's nobody transmitting there at all, but if we were to turn off the NRC, listen to the difference. The best way to describe it is it makes FM sound more like AM, and AM really does clean up quite nicely with the noise reduction on, which you'll see when I do the test outside with a real station. But yeah, it's a really good feature, and that's built into this Handheld. So that's your NRC, so let's just get rid of that squelch noise. Lovely. But yeah, that alone is the killer feature that this radio has that the President Randy doesn't have. Okay, final test before we go out with the Thunderpole TX to do it some real on-air testing. Here's a little power test for you guys anyway, since most people are going to be interested to see if it's putting out the full 4 watts legal power on the FM side of things. And yeah, it could be quite interesting this. So I've got the Wells SP200 power meter connected up to a dummy load here, and I'm using the BNC type adapter to connect into the meter there. And yeah, so let's just give it a try then. So we're on full power, channel 20 EU band. Let's key the radio up, and hopefully you guys can see that exactly 4 watts on the scale of the SP200. We're on the 20 watt range. So as you can see there, look, 4 watts full power. So that is exactly spot on for what we'd expect it to be on this Handheld. So that's very, very good actually on the Thunderpole TX. Let's put it down to low power to see what it's actually doing, because I'm not 100% sure what low power is on this. So I've switched to low in the menu. We're going to key up again, and it looks to be just over a watt there. So we got, what have we got, as they say? About 1.5 watts, maybe something like that. So yeah, just over 1 watt of power. So that's going to be quite power saving really if you're operating locally, or QRP as they say. But yeah, 1 watt of power there, 1.5 watts I'd say, possibly. It's not got quite enough to drive the meter there much further, so let's just put that back up to high again one more time, and there you go, look, 4 watts. So we'll try that on the AM mode now. Let's see what it gives out there. And again, a good healthy 4 watts of power on the AM as well there, so going out dead carrier, 4 watts. So again, that's really, really good. So I'm quite impressed. Let's just put it up to the EU, sorry, not the EU band, the UK band, and see what we get out. So obviously we can only go FM on the UK band due to the legalities on that. Let's key the radio up again, there we go. And again, we're just seeing a little bit less power actually up on the UK. So we're seeing about 3.5 watts there possibly. So I don't know if as we go up in the value whether the power drops off slightly. Let's just go up in the channels to the top end of the UK. Let's go right up there to channel 40. There we go, yes, I'm only seeing about 3 watts there at the top end of UK 40. And if we go to the bottom end of the UK 40, channel 1, yeah, we're definitely getting closer to 4 watts. So as we go away from the EU mid-block and go up in frequency, it looks like we're getting slightly less power out on the radio, which is kind of an interesting observation. So I don't know what it'd do if it was exported at the top end. It may behave differently, but certainly more power going out down there on the EU band than the UK. And it is into a dummy load this, so it's not like it's antenna differences or anything, so it's definitely less power output on the top end of the UK 40. So yeah, we had about 3 watts at the top end and 4 watts at the bottom, and they're definitely a healthy 4 watts all the way across the EU band. But anyway, without further ado, let's go out, let's give the radio a test on air, see what it sounds like and get some reports. So this is the location we've chosen for the test today with the Thunderpole TX. It's November, it's wet and miserable and damp everywhere, but I thought we'd get outside and get away from local interference and everything to give the radio a fair test on the stock antenna. So here you go. This is the Thunderpole TX yet again. Channel 32 UK FM, I think that's what we're going to use for the test. I've arranged with one of my friends to be on the band, and hopefully he's about 4 or 5 miles away from me, static mobile on another hilltop. So we're going to try and make the contact, see if we can get in touch with each other using just a stock rubber antenna. Now we know the radio is a very good receiver. We've got 4 watts of power on this on high and 1 watt on low. But we're going to try and make the contact anyway and see how it goes, and I can hopefully give you an example of how well the noise reduction circuit works in this as well. So we'll just give them a shout and see what happens. Right, okay, we've QS wide to 37 because there was pretty much interference on 32, but yeah, have you got me okay then, Jason?
Yeah, signal 4, radio 4.
Yeah, roger that. Yeah, I'm just having to hold the camera quite close to the radio, so if I'm a bit quiet, you'll know why. But this is the stock rubber antenna on the Thunderpole TX, so it's not bad. How far away would you say you are? About 4 or 5 miles from me?
I was going to say about 4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah, roger that. Yeah, I think you're about 4 or 5 miles from me, so that's not doing too bad. But yeah, you're coming through pretty good. Nice audio and everything on the Thunderpole. I'm going to switch the noise reduction circuit on, Jason. It won't make any difference to your audio. Well, it won't make any difference to what you hear from me. But I'm going to see what it sounds like when you come back to me on this to see what FM sounds like with the NRC circuit on, yeah?
Yeah,
So we'll just turn that on. Right, okay, give me some audio. Give me a count from 1 to 10, Jason. Let's see what it sounds like.
yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How's that for you?
Yeah, perfect. You wouldn't believe what a difference the noise reduction makes, you know. It's like it's like night and day on FM because you don't get the hissing and crackling in the background. It sounds like it's AM almost, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I've actually seen how well they work by watching the YouTube video.
Yeah, Roger, there's a few people done these demos on the noise reduction, but until you've actually heard it yourself, it's hard to believe how good it actually is. It really does make a difference, but yeah, I'm enjoying the sound from it anyway. It's quite good. You know, when the band's noisy and you get all that crackling and squelch and everything through on the FM side of things, it does make it a bit more readable, but that's quite good. So I'm just going to turn it off again to listen to the difference, yeah?
I'm starting to get that data noise on here now.
Yeah, I think it's something following us around on the band. I think there's a lot of like, I don't know if it's propagation or what, but I was hearing it earlier on when we were setting up the video, and it was on channel 35, like at top end of the UK. Yeah, well that's working quite well anyway. That's stock antenna. Do you want me to try and drop it to 1 watt to see if you can still hear me over about 5 miles? Shall I switch it down to 1 watt?
Yeah, you can do. Give it a go.
Yeah, it probably won't be too good, but if it doesn't work, I'll come back up to 4 watts, but we'll try that, yeah? Just stand by. Right, Jason, have you got me on 1 watt there? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I've still got you. Still a Radio 4.
That's crazy. That's really good on just 1 watt of power, because that's a hell of a difference, really. And yeah, that's 1 watt into the stock rubber duck antenna. They seem quite good, these, don't they?
In fact, his signal hasn't even changed either.
That's weird, isn't it, really? Sometimes you just don't know, do you, what to do for the best. But yeah, it's definitely on low power now. And like I said, I'm receiving you about signal 5 this side as well, which is good.
Yeah, I'm starting to get horrible noises again on here.
Yeah, it's not too good. What we'll do in a minute is we'll switch over in the car and I'll put the big antenna on, Jason. So there you go, BNC connection. Nice to have the BNC connector on top of the Thunderpole. No messing about then, you know, just get the simple, easy to find adapter, not like the President Randy, which uses the TNC type connection. Right, Jason, have you got me on this one? That's on the stereo inside the car now, yeah?
Yeah, Radio 5, signal 8.
Yeah, I'm speaking quite a long way from the microphone on this Thunderpole. Does it still sound loud enough to you then? Because I'm on the other side of the camera here, yeah?
Yeah, it's loud enough, yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised how good the mic is in it. You don't need to talk right up to the microphone on the front of the rig, which is really decent. But yeah, I'm just inside the car now, and I'm just on 1 watt of power. So I'll stick it up to full power if you want and see if it makes much difference to you, yeah?
Yeah, go on, man.
Right, so I think it's just this one on the side of here. There we go on hyper. Right, that's on full power now, Jason. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Again, there's no difference whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm really surprised about that because we're definitely on full power. It's showing TX max like past the 4, and I thought that the low power would have been quite significantly different, but it just shows you that you could probably get a lot better battery life by just leaving it on the low power setting, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, Roger. What signal am I giving you now then?
Well, it's showing a 7 on this Thunderpole. The meter on it does seem a bit on the low side, to be honest with you, because I'd have thought you'd have been giving me sort of hard over, really, from your location. You know, I'd have thought you'd been up to the 9 or the max even, but it does seem quite on the low side, you know. It's a little bit on the low side, I'd say.
Yeah, well, I giving you that when you was on the rubber duck.
Now, you're about between the 3 and the 5, actually, on the rubber duck, I think, and now you're on the stereo, you're about 7 to me. But I wouldn't go too much by it. I think it's one of them sort of meters that doesn't read like full unless you're right close up to it, yeah?
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I thought you said about 6. And that's 6 when you was on the rubber duck. I was mistaken.
Yeah, it was moving about a little bit. It was somewhere between 3 and 5 mainly, I think. If I look back on the video, I'll be able to confirm that. But I think it's around the 5, and on this, definitely you're up into the 7 and above anyway. So no bother at all. But yeah, I mean, we could try mid-block in a minute if you want and give it a try on the AM side of it as well. But I'm just going to do the noise reduction again and see what it sounds like inside the car now I've got less noise outside, yeah?
Yeah.
Just turn NRC on, there we go. Right, okay, that's noise reduction on, so if you can give me some audio again, I'll show everybody what it sounds like.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, it's very good. It does get rid of all your background hiss and crackle and everything on the band and that, so there's no bother at all. It does sound really clear, but it does kind of make your voice a little bit on the sort of metallic-y, tinny side, but that's just the trade-off of noise reduction circuits. They tend to do that, don't they? But it does make it a lot more listenable when it's a weak signal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, Roger. Is this 6900 audio okay?
Yeah, it sounds fine on here, to be honest, Jason. It's nice and clear, it's punchy, it's blasting through. I don't know what sort of power level you're running on that one, but no, it sounds fine.
It's on full power. I just didn't think these microphones, standard microphones for these radios would be any cost.
Yeah, it sounds okay. Like I said, I've still got the NRC circuit on. I can turn it off and you'll hear a bit more of your audio when you listen back to the video. But no, it's sounding crystal clear, to be fair.
Anybody on the side?
Ready, copy.
Oh yeah, is that John?
Yeah, is it Simon?
You've got Simon, but I'm Jason. Simon's on here. He's parked up Benton area.
Alright, Jason, yeah, just flicking through you, coming through pretty strong actually. Whereabouts are you?
I'm just up at Walgate.
Yeah, coming through okay today, road to Thunderpole.
What's that radio you're on? That's nice and loud.
Yeah, it's President McKinley.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, it sounds good as that.
Yeah, I just got one of them Pro 6 phones, you know, them
Channel 28 mid-block AM this time. Right, Jason, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, have you got me?
Yeah, I've got you. Signal 8, radio 5.
Yeah, roger that. The AM doesn't sound too bad on this handheld, actually. I think it sounds better than the FM, to be honest with you. It sounds quite clear.
Oh, very good. Yeah, you're sounding good. Receiving you on AM as well.
Yeah, we've got a lot of skip rolling in. I think there's a lot of Americans beginning to come up now, like, we're getting near lunchtime as well. But, yeah, the audio's quite good on the AM side then, yeah?
Yeah, it sounds just as good as FM.
Yeah, I tell you what I want to try then. I want to try the NRC circuit on the AM and see what it sounds like on that. So I'll just flick the NRC on, yeah?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, we've got the NRC on now, so let's hear some audio from you, your side.
Yeah, I'll give you a countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How's that?
Yeah, perfectly usable, Jason. To be honest with you, I think the AM with the NRC on sounds even better than the FM. It sounds quite natural, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like I say, it sounds good on AM. Me receiving you. So, yeah.
Fully quiet.
Not bad handles, are they, really?
No, I must admit, I was kind of like unimpressed when I first saw it, and I didn't think it'd be so good, but the reason this beats the President Randy is simply because you've got the NRC circuit built in it as well, yeah?
Yeah, Roger.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with it, Jason. I mean, I'm sorry to have to give this one back, to be fair, but I don't think I'd have enough use for one myself full time, but it's nice of Mike to lend me this. So I must say thank you to Mike for lending me this once again, because it's a lovely little handheld. It's well built as well. I'm quite pleased for the price. I mean, what are they? £99 brand new. You can't beat it, can you really?
No, you can't go wrong at that price.
All right then, conclusions. What do I honestly think of this radio? Well, bear in mind, I didn't buy this out my own money or anything. This was loaned to me by somebody else, so I'm totally impartial. It's not my radio. I'm not trying to say it's the best radio in the world or anything. But what I'm trying to say to you is that it is very, very good value for money. Everything works spot on. I mean, the audio quality was really good. I thought the audio on the AM side was quite impressive as well in the tests. And as well as that, I just figured that, you know, it's a great value transceiver for money. For anybody wanting a sort of transportable that can go in the car as well, and is only just sort of dabbling or getting back into the CB radio to see what the activity is like in her area, then I'd suggest actually buying one of these, because they're a fantastic piece of kit for the money. The feature packed, the audio quality is good. I didn't expect the audio to be as good actually. When I was actually speaking into the microphone further away from the radio, I thought it would have been quiet, because one of the things that the President Randy suffered from when I did a test on one of those was like low modulation, whereas that doesn't seem to be the case with the Thunderpole. And I know that the modulation level's limited by the European and the UK CB standards. You know, you can't have super wide deviation or anything, so you don't expect the audio to be as loud as some other export radios. But to be fair, it held its own, and even though I was talking quite a long way from the microphone, but I was trying to film things at the same time, I thought that the audio quality was really impressive from the radio. And the Jason at the other end was saying to me that it still sounded loud and clear even when I was speaking further away from the mic. So hats off to Thunderpole and the team who developed the firmware on this radio as well. Obviously it's available under a few different brand names. There is the Jopix, and I think there's a Mass version of it as well, and a few others that are starting to appear on the market, which are all slightly different with different firmwares, so they might not all be the same as this one, but they're based on the same electronics on the inside of them anyway, manufactured out in China at the usual place I think, really. But yeah, on the whole, great radio. I can't really fault it for the money. I mean, for £99, the only fault I have got is that you can't buy one anywhere at the moment, because everywhere's out of stock, and that's when I'm doing this video in what, November. So hopefully there's going to be some stock into the country by the early December time. So if you're thinking of putting one of these in a Christmas stocking, might be a good idea anyway to get your orders in now. Places like Knights, Thunderpole, maybe even Moonraker might have one as well, so maybe shop around, get one early if you can do, because they're still going to be a hot seller for quite some time, these radios. But yeah, well, thank you once again to Mike for loaning me the rig. Thank you very much. I'll box it all up and send it back to you very shortly. I'll be sorry to see it go, but I think I ought to give you it back, because I've got quite a few radios anyway. But yeah, until the next video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you found any tricks or tips that you want to share with anybody on this one. We'll probably take another look at it in the future, or do some more tests maybe. But until then, cheers for now. 73.